Have you ever made a wrong turn that led you to an unexpected adventure? One sunny afternoon, I decided to go for a drive to clear my mind. I had a specific route in mind, but while listening to my favorite playlist, I got distracted and took a wrong turn. Instead of panicking, I thought, why not explore? As I drove down the unfamiliar road, I stumbled upon a charming little town. The streets were lined with colorful houses, and quaint shops dotted the landscape. I parked my car and decided to wander around. The town was alive with friendly faces and laughter, and I felt a sense of excitement. While exploring, I noticed a small cafe that caught my eye. I walked in, and the aroma of fresh pastries filled the air. As I ordered a slice of homemade pie, I struck up a conversation with the barista, who turned out to be a local artist. She shared her passion for painting and invited me to an art show happening that evening. Intrigued, I decided to attend the show after finishing my pie. The event was held in a cozy gallery filled with vibrant artwork. I met more locals, each with unique stories and talents. I was captivated by the creativity around me, and I found myself chatting with other artists and art enthusiasts. By the end of the night, I left the gallery feeling inspired and connected to a community I never knew existed. What started as a wrong turn transformed into a delightful adventure, filled with new experiences and friendships. Sometimes, the best journeys are the ones that lead us off the beaten path and into unexpected adventures. Have you ever received a package that wasn't meant for you, but it turned out to be the best surprise ever? It was a quiet Saturday morning, and I was lounging on the couch in my pajamas, scrolling through my phone. Suddenly the doorbell rang, interrupting my lazy day. I reluctantly got up to answer it and was greeted by a delivery driver, holding a large box with my name on it. Excitedly, I signed for it and hurried back inside. As I ripped open the box, I expected to find a new gadget I had ordered. Instead, I discovered a fancy robot vacuum inside. What in the world? I muttered, looking at the shipping label. It was addressed to someone named Jake. My heart sank as I realized my mix-up. I checked my order history and confirmed I hadn't ordered a vacuum. Instead of returning it, I decided to have a little fun. I thought, why not make the most of this situation? I texted my friends, "Guess who just got a robot vacuum?" Everyone was intrigued, and soon they were at my place for a robot vacuum party. Once they arrived, we gathered in the living room, and I unveiled my unexpected treasure. The vacuum was sleek and shiny, and I figured we could at least see if it worked. To my surprise, it had a quirky personality and responded to commands. We started giving it silly tasks like dance and clean, and it rolled around, bumping into furniture while we laughed hysterically. As the afternoon progressed, we decided to name it Robo Rockstar. We dressed it up in a little scarf and sunglasses, making it our honorary party guest. We even set up a mini obstacle course to see how well it could navigate through our living room. It became a competition to see who could give the best commands, and the vacuum's antics kept us entertained for hours. After a while, I decided it was time to contact the company to arrange for them to pick up the vacuum. I figured it was the responsible thing to do, but when I called, the customer service representative couldn't stop laughing. She told me that the vacuum could stay with me for the time being since they would send a replacement to the actual owner. That night we had a blast hosting Robo Rockstar's first dance party. We cleared the floor, blasted some music, and let the vacuum dance around while we cheered it on. My friends and I made silly TikTok videos of us dancing with our new robotic friend, which went viral among our circles. As the sun set, we sat down to enjoy pizza and reminisce about the day. I felt grateful for the accidental delivery and the fun it brought. Sometimes, unexpected deliveries can lead to unforgettable moments, and that day turned into one of the best weekends ever. As it turned out, that mix-up didn't just bring laughter, it sparked a day of unforgettable memories and a reminder that life is full of delightful surprises. Imagine sending out invites for a birthday party and accidentally welcoming a stranger instead. What could go wrong? It was my birthday, and I was excited to celebrate with my closest friends. I had planned a cozy gathering at my apartment with cake, snacks, and some party games. After sending out invitations through a group chat, I thought I had covered all my bases. However, in my excitement, I accidentally included my mom's friend, Mrs. Johnson, instead of my best friend, Sarah. I didn't realize the mistake until I saw Mrs. Johnson's name pop up on the group chat. When Mrs. Johnson texted me to confirm her attendance, I felt a wave of panic wash over me. What do I do? She's not my target audience for a birthday bash, I thought. My friends convinced me it would be fine, so I decided to make the best of it. Besides, I figured Mrs. Johnson could use a little fun, too. When the night of the party arrived, I was busy preparing when the doorbell rang. I opened the door to find Mrs. Johnson standing there, beaming with excitement. "Happy birthday, dear," she exclaimed, handing me a gift. It was a lovely plant for my apartment, and I was touched by her thoughtfulness. As my friends arrived, I introduced Mrs. Johnson to them. At first, I was worried about how everyone would get along, but I quickly realized I had nothing to fear. Mrs. Johnson shared stories about her travels and wild experiences in her youth that left everyone in stitches. She had a knack for storytelling, and her animated expressions captivated the room. As the evening progressed, we played games and enjoyed cake, and I felt the atmosphere shift to one of pure joy. Mrs. Johnson joined in on our games, laughing and teasing just like the rest of us. I couldn't believe how well everyone was getting along. The party had taken on a life of its own, with Mrs. Johnson at the center of it all, leading us in spontaneous karaoke sessions and dance-offs. Later in the night, my friends and I gathered around to share our favorite memories. Mrs. Johnson chimed in with her own youthful tales, sharing her wild adventures from decades ago, which made us all laugh until our sides hurt. We were all surprised by how much fun we were having together, and I began to realize that I had underestimated her. When the party finally wound down, I turned to Mrs. Johnson and thanked her for making my birthday unforgettable. She smiled and said, "You know, sometimes the best surprises come from the most unexpected invitations." I couldn't agree more. That night, I learned that the most unexpected guests can turn an ordinary birthday into an extraordinary adventure filled with laughter and new friendships. Have you ever pressed send on an email and immediately regretted it, only to find out it changed your life forever? It was a typical Monday morning, and I was browsing job listings while sipping my coffee. The sun streamed through the window, casting a warm glow in my living room. I stumbled upon a position at a tech startup that looked intriguing, one that required expertise I didn't possess. In my haste, I sent my application without thoroughly reading the requirements. I hit send and thought nothing of it, assuming I wouldn't hear back. To my surprise, I received an email the next day, inviting me for an interview. I was baffled. Did they even read my resume? I wondered. Panic set in as I realized I had little to no experience in the field they were hiring for. I debated canceling, but my curiosity got the better of me. After all, I had nothing to lose. On the day of the interview, I wore my best outfit, hoping to look the part even if I didn't feel it. When I arrived at the startup's office, I was immediately struck by the vibrant atmosphere. The walls were adorned with colorful artwork, and the sound of laughter echoed in the open space, filled with young professionals working on innovative projects. I felt out of place, but also excited. As I walked into the conference room for my interview, I was greeted by a panel of interviewers. They were all smiling and seemed genuinely interested in what I had to say. During the interview, I shared my passion for technology and my willingness to learn, emphasizing my adaptability and eagerness to grow. The hiring manager was impressed by my enthusiasm, despite my lack of experience, and started asking about my previous roles. I spoke candidly about my past jobs, the challenges I faced, and how I had tackled them. The conversation shifted from a formal interview to a more relaxed discussion. I felt like I was talking to friends rather than interviewers. They shared their experiences, and I could see their passion for the company and the projects they were working on. By the end of the interview, I was feeling surprisingly confident. To my astonishment, they offered me an internship on the spot. What started as a simple mistake transformed into a fantastic opportunity. I spent the next year learning and growing in a field I had never considered, diving into projects I had previously only dreamed of being involved in. As I settled into my role, I formed friendships with my coworkers that felt like family. I was challenged daily, but I loved every minute of it. The experience opened doors I never knew existed, leading to exciting projects and networking opportunities. Sometimes, taking a chance can lead to unexpected adventures, and I'm grateful for that misdialed email. In the end, that simple mistake led me to a career I never thought possible, proving that sometimes fate has a funny way of guiding us when we least expect it. Have you ever lost something precious, only to gain something even more valuable in the process? One Saturday morning, I was out for a stroll with my dog, Charlie. We loved exploring the nearby park, and that day was no different. As we walked, Charlie spotted a squirrel and took off running. I called after him, but he was too excited to listen. In the chaos, he dashed out of sight. Panicked, I searched the park, calling his name. My heart raced as minutes turned into what felt like hours. Just when I thought I'd have to go home without him, I spotted a woman kneeling down near the bushes. It was Sarah, a fellow dog lover I had met at the park before. "I think I saw him running that way," she said, pointing down a trail. We both took off in pursuit, calling Charlie's name. After what felt like an eternity, we finally found him sniffing around a tree, looking blissfully unaware of the commotion he had caused. Relieved, I scooped Charlie up in my arms, thanking Sarah for her help. We started chatting as we walked back to the park entrance. Sarah shared that she often volunteered at a local animal shelter and was passionate about rescuing pets in need. Her enthusiasm for animals was contagious, and I felt inspired to get involved. We exchanged numbers, and I promised to join her the following weekend for a volunteer event. The next Saturday, we worked together at the shelter, helping care for the animals and finding them loving homes. I discovered a newfound passion for animal welfare, and what started as a stressful day turned into a beautiful friendship and a commitment to a cause I cared about. Sometimes, losing something precious can lead to finding unexpected friendships and passions along the way. Have you ever typed a message, hesitated, and decided not to send it, only to find out it was meant to be sent? Last week, I was feeling overwhelmed with work and personal responsibilities. I sat on my couch, contemplating reaching out to my friend Jenna for support. I typed out a heartfelt message, pouring out my feelings, but at the last minute, I deleted it, thinking I didn't want to burden her. Instead, I spent the evening sulking in my thoughts. A few days passed, and I received a message from Jenna. "Hey, I haven't heard from you in a while. Are you okay?" It took me by surprise. I realized I hadn't updated her on what was going on in my life. Feeling guilty, I decided to open up and tell her everything that had been weighing on my mind. As I typed my response, I felt a sense of relief. I hit send and immediately felt lighter. To my surprise, Jenna replied with understanding and support. "I'm here for you." "Let's meet up and talk," she suggested. We arranged to meet at our favorite cafe that weekend. When we sat down, I shared everything I had been holding back. Jenna listened attentively and shared her own struggles, and I realized we both faced similar challenges. The conversation flowed naturally, and by the end, I felt a strong sense of connection and understanding. That day turned into a cathartic experience for both of us. We made a pact to check in on each other more often, promising not to hold back our feelings. I learned that sometimes It's the unsent messages that can lead to the most important conversations. In the end, reaching out can create a space for vulnerability and connection when we need it most.